Before I start this review, I just want to say go and check out my Instagram and Twitter. Usernames will be on screen now. If you want to get the latest updates on what's going on here and also some behind the scenes and some fun action, please go and follow those social media pages because you're going to get extra information from there. I was skeptical about starting to use this phone, to be honest. I ordered it and paid a lot less than I should have, but still paid a lot of money for the phone. With my experience from past Samsung phones, I thought it might be a little bit bloatware-y and a little bit over the top, but actually it turned out to be a better phone than I expected. I'm of course talking about the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, my version of this is the European single SIM variant with the Exynos 8-core Samsung chip in it instead of the Snapdragon 820 and the Sony camera sensor instead of the Samsung one. So I'll put that on the screen for you now, but that's exactly what I have. This phone comes in several different variants. So firstly, I'm going to go over the specs. We have up front a 5.5 inch 1440p display, a 12 megapixel camera on the back and a 5 megapixel camera on the front, 4 gigabytes of RAM and that Exynos 8-core chip or a Snapdragon 820 if you're in a different part of the world, and a 3600 mAh battery. Next, a physical tour of the device. On the top we have a SIM/micro SD card tray as well as a microphone. On the right we have a single power button. On the left we have separate up and down volume buttons, which I do like, the separated ones. And on the bottom we have a micro B port for charging and data transfer, as well as a speaker, a microphone and a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is starting to become obsolete as we've seen. On the back you've got your camera, flash and your heart rate sensor, and on the front obviously you've got your one physical button, your two capacitive buttons, as well as a front camera, a speaker grill, and the screen. The unboxing experience was actually very good. It gave you a box that was magnetic and wasn't one of those finicky drop it kind of boxes. It was a proper folding magnetic box with the phone displayed on the top lovely, and you also get an OTG kind of connector. You can use this to connect keyboards and mice to your phone essentially because it goes into the USB mini B port on your phone, which a lot of phones have, and then has a female USB connector, A connector, so you can plug anything into it, storage devices, mouse, keyboard, anything really. It's really useful. The charging speed is very good. I am doing a comparison with the OnePlus 3 as well, and you'll see that next week. But the charging speed is very good. You are getting a 12 megapixel camera on the back, which produces absolutely fantastic photo and video. This is probably the best camera I've ever used on a phone, very close to the iPhone 6s Plus and the OnePlus 3 trailing just behind them. I do believe this is the best camera I've used on a phone. It's snappy to take photos, the autofocus is great, the video stabilization is great, and the quality obviously in 4K makes it extra crispy, and you're getting a great f1.7 lens on that bad boy. It can also do 240 frames per second 720p like the Nexus 6P and iPhone 6s Plus, so that's a great bonus for me because I love slow motion video. On the front you've got a 5 megapixel camera, like I said, f1.7 again, very wide, which is what Samsung's been doing for a number of years now, giving you a very wide front facing camera. Takes some pretty good video and definitely good photos, although you might want to get rid of the beauty mode and just go raw. Speed then. This phone is very quick, and obviously you've got that Exynos 8-core or Snapdragon 820 and 4 gigabytes of RAM. That's plenty of power to go through pretty much anything you want. Obviously you've got the games, and then you've got the everyday use, and then you've got benchmarks, and anything you really want to do on this phone that you can do on this phone, you can do well, and that is because of the processor and RAM. The fingerprint scanner is very quick. The way that you open the phone is not very quick at all because the button, there's a delay and an animation you've got to wait for. The fingerprint reader itself though is very quick, and you'll be able to see that it's good comparison between this, the OnePlus 3 and the iPhone 6s Plus as well as the 6P. They're basically top of their class, and this is no exception. The only thing I would say about it is you've got to wait for the screen to turn on before you can actually activate the fingerprint scanner, which is annoying. The buttons are great. The up, down volume buttons as well as the lock button and obviously the physical home button are absolutely great. And now I realise that Samsung does actually make the best buttons in the business. They're very tactile and they're clicky and they're great. The build and design is absolutely fantastic. You're getting a very thin phone. It's a bit thicker than last year's S6 Edge, but definitely a thin phone, and with the edges and the wraparound glass and then obviously the metal rails around the outside, it is an absolute masterpiece in design and I really like it. The only thing I would say though is it's very fragile, obviously with very easily scratched. The screen is again by far the best I've ever seen on a phone. It's a 5.5 inch 1440p display, and I'm getting used to calling Quad HD good phones now because 1080p is great. Quad HD is bringing the market forward, and you're also getting that VR kind of experience once you've got 1440p. It is a great high pixel density, and you can use that for VR obviously. 5.5 inches is a good form factor. For me, that's about average. 6 inches is a big phone and 5 inches is a small phone. So this is a great size phone, and obviously the pixel density is very high. It's OLED, meaning that you're getting the deep blacks because it effectively doesn't like the black pixels. You're getting great contrast, and overall the screen is very crispy. The expandable storage is great. Obviously you've got 256 gigabytes of potential uprated storage, and I haven't really tested this out, but if you really wanted to, you want to store a lot of music, photos or videos, then you could definitely do this, and it's great that they brought it back with the S7 and S7 Edge. The battery life is absolutely great. I mean, this is the best battery life I've ever got out of an Android phone. This is really overstepping the mark and going pretty much towards the iPhone in terms of its efficiency. I think it's probably TouchWiz that does this because it's definitely not the spec. 3600 mAh battery is not huge by any stretch of the imagination, and the fact you're rocking a Quad HD display and obviously all that power, I'm not sure how they've managed to do this, but this gets me a full day every single day, and that's from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night. Did I forget to mention that this has IP68 rating? That's right, Ingress Protection 68, meaning that this is water resistant up to 1.5 meters, I believe, for half an hour, and it means that you can take it out in the rain, or if you're out and about and it turns to be pretty wet where you are, that's fine. I wouldn't be, swimming with this. You can take underwater photos and things like that, but I definitely wouldn't be pushing it to its extreme, although apparently you can do that. Talking of the software skin, you're getting TouchWiz, although they don't call it TouchWiz anymore. It's basically a heavily skinned version of Android, and it gives you the latest version of Android, and essentially it makes hard and maybe more advanced tasks a lot easier because they word it differently and they make everything a lot simpler. You could call it dumbing it down because essentially that's what it is, but it gives the user a lot more freedom over the standard Android really, because you're getting a lot more options and a lot more features. Things like the double pressing the home button to open the camera is one of them, as well as you're getting S Health, which is a great fitness app that uses the heart rate sensor and stuff like that to measure your health, which is awesome. It also counts your steps and little bits like that I really thought I would hate, but actually is very good. The Edge design is also marvelous. You're getting the always on display, meaning you can actually change the Edge to have your time, battery life and date on it, which is awesome, and that's always on because it's OLED. It doesn't have to light the whole screen, it can only light those pixels. And then the Edge design is also just really gorgeous. I don't really use any of the features, but I know it's absolutely gorgeous. The one feature I do use is the always on display. Now, the bad points. This phone is a fingerprint magnet, meaning that as soon as you touch the phone, the fingerprint's going everywhere. It's also heavily easily scratched, and I've got a very scratched unit here because I wasn't careful and I haven't put a skin or a case on it. The off-screen buttons are great, don't get me wrong, I love off-screen buttons, I much prefer them to on-screen ones, but they're so easy to press. I'd probably prefer them to be maybe a little bit closer to the home button, or maybe change them about or something, because I do like the buttons themselves, but they're very easily pressed, so when you're taking a photo or playing a game, it's very easy to actually exit the game or exit the camera or whatever. This phone does get very hot when charging or playing games, just letting you know. Most phones do, so I don't think it's a worry with this phone, just letting you know that this phone does get very hot when charging or playing games. Like I said, you do need a case or a skin on this phone. I have neither of those and I've really suffered. I'm getting scratches all over it and there's a little ding in the top right, which is really annoying me. The bloatware is really not too bad. You're getting a lot of Microsoft apps for some reason, but I managed to get rid of those and it was fine after that. But overall, I think the bloatware you're getting is a lot of it. You can disable it, which is good. And I think that some of the bloatware is actually kind of useful. So I wouldn't give this a whole negative, but it's definitely one of the negatives for a lot of Android users. Now the quirky things, like I said, you've got the 3.5mm jack on the bottom, which I'm starting to love because I mean a lot of phones have it on the bottom. My three favourite phones of basically the past 2 years, the 6S Plus, the OnePlus 3 and the S7 Edge, all have their 3.5 jacks on the bottom. And don't get me wrong, it's a decent place to put them. I'm just changing the way I put my phone in my pocket now. It uses Mini B and not Type-C, which is something that really shocked us. Obviously the Note 7 uses Type-C now, so that's pretty cool, but you just got to look out for that. You're using the old micro B connector, which is good really because it's ubiquitous. So what do I think about this phone then? I think this is probably my favourite phone, and it's something that I'm going to keep as a daily driver. I have just got to finish off the comparison with the OnePlus 3 and then sell the OnePlus 3, and I will get you guys new phone reviews and new phone videos soon. I really enjoyed using this phone. It's quick and it has an absolutely fantastic camera, which is, and for me, you know, a camera nerd, I absolutely love the camera in this phone. The screen is gorgeous, the battery life is fantastic. This takes the top spot as my favorite phone, basically, of modern smartphones. So in second place comes the 6S Plus and the OnePlus 3, and in third place comes the 6P. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, please check out my Instagram and Twitter, because they are great places to, you know, catch up with me. If you guys are wanting to maybe make a video collaboration, or you want to get in touch with me, it's much easier to get me in touch with me via those sources instead of YouTube comments, because although I read a decent few of them, it's kind of difficult to keep on top of those. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been your boy Rank, and I'll see you next Friday. Peace.